So what's going on with student loan debt forgiveness?
The Supreme Court denied another attempt by the Biden administration to offer student loan debt relief to millions of borrowers.
Yes, because helping hundreds of thousands of Americans deal with crippling student loan debt is one of the worst things we could be doing right now in this country. Thank you, almighty Supreme Court, for absolutely nothing yet again. But the Biden administration is still trying to get things through per CNBC. Biden began working on his revised student loan relief plan after the Supreme Court blocked its first program in June of 2023. The updated policy targets several groups of borrowers for relief, including those who have been in repayment for decades or attended schools that defrauded them. Cool. CNBC's reporting continues. Biden has already forgiven more student debt than any president, affecting nearly 5 million people. But Republican-led legal challenges have stymied all of Biden's attempts at delivering wide-scale relief. Thank you, Republicans, for protecting corporate interests, blah, 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 blah. But seriously, we have a huge student debt crisis in this country, and we are drowning in student loan debt. According to data from the Education Data Initiative, over 43 million Americans are dealing with some form of student loan debt. And not only that, but Americans owe $1.75 trillion in federal and private student loan debt combined, with 16.6% of all American adults having outstanding undergraduate student loan debt. Ugh. And this has a real world impact. It's keeping people locked out of home ownership, for example, and initially placing people directly in poverty's path for having the audacity for trying to seek higher education and better their circumstances. According to more research, over 50% of renters say the only reason why they're renting and not buying a house is because they're still paying off their student loans.
Hi, my name is Kylan. I am 23 years old and I currently owe $90,000 in student loans. If I decide to get a car, if I decide to own a home, these student loans are a part of my credit score and a part of my identity for the rest of my life.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth, and as of today, I owe $108,137.48 in student loans. It prevents me from a lot of things, getting a dog, buying a house, and right now it is making it extremely hard for me to change careers.
I wonder if any of those stories land on college brochures. It'd be the honest truth. And although nationally, obviously, we can't get our stuff together, at least on a state level, there have been some progress that's been made. Connecticut, for example, offers a debt-free community college at all the community colleges in the state, and they recently created a $6 million program to provide tuition repayment. There's a really interesting article on Capitol Dispatch about that. That's on senatdems.ct.gov, and you can check that out. But still, the average cost of college tuition in America and what we borrow and then what we end up getting paid when we get a job has been trending in the wrong direction for a long time. Back to the Education Data Initiative, back in 1996, a college graduate left school owing just $12,750 in student loan debt. $12,750. Could you imagine how easy your life would be if that's all you owed your school when you finished college? But according to the Education Data Initiative, 20 years after entering school, half of student borrowers still owe $20,000 on their loans. And it's not like we finish college and land our dream job making, forget about great money, just decent money. Man, when I finished school and became a journalist, if I got a nickel for every time somebody told me I needed to pay my dues, I would have been able to pay off my loans by the time I hit 25. So when you get out of school, it almost feels like nobody even respects the degree that you have. And also, when we were growing up, you know, I'm in my 30s, so folks in my age bracket, everybody told us that a college education was the way out. It was the key to a future where you could have an easier life and chase your passions. Instead, the harsh reality of capitalism has made that dream a little bit more like this.
My life is very different than what I envisioned it would be.
Rachel Gambino and Garrett Mazzio followed the roadmap that previous generations said would spell success. Go to college, get married, work hard, buy a house, start a family.
This is the American dream, but at what cost? So we have all of those things and we appreciate every single one of those things, but we think about how we could lose those things very quickly. Like if our family is dictated by our financials, and yeah, I just never thought it would be that way. buddy.
So, what would they do differently if they could do it all over again? Avoid student debt, even if that means rethinking college.
Go to college, get out of poverty, the money will come. It's not as that simple, right? Would I been in a better economic position not taking in the graduate student loan debt? Yeah, probably.
I think this idea of going to college is something that I don't know if Miles will do, and we have decided we're not going to push him there either. I think a lot of millennials were forced into saying, like, you need a 4-year degree in order to be successful, and it's like, I have a communications degree and I definitely did not need that to be successful. And so I think like it starts with when you turn 18, you're already put into a disadvantage. And I think we need to like change that mindset for the next generation.
But why? Like, even though college is very important, there are many important aspects of it. And going back to my days in college, if it wasn't for my professor, Sharon Skeeter, getting an editor-in-chief from a local newspaper to come down to the school and talk to my class in 2008, I don't even think I'd be where I am right now in my career. But because it's so important and because people really do need it, why is it so expensive? According to Forbes, rising tuition costs are one of the biggest reasons why people have to keep borrowing so much money. The College Board data shows that for the 2023-24 academic year, the average in-state cost to attend a public four-year institution was $11,260. That's $270 higher than the year before. And for out-of-state, tuition and fees for four-year schools came in at $29,150. That's $850 higher than the previous year. And private schools are even higher, $41,450 for the 23-24 academic year. And also, none of those figures cover room and board. That stupid, expensive board. But the average tuition cost has increased faster than currency and wage inflation, and that's from the Education Data Initiative. So good luck paying it back. But programs like the ones in Connecticut, like debt-free college and all this new $6 million tuition repayment program, are encouraging and show that politicians are taking this problem seriously. And also it can have a positive impact on our lives, some of these programs.
Connecticut State Community College has expanded its access to, yes, tuition-free education right here in Connecticut. So 2 years free. It doesn't matter how much your parents make, doesn't matter how much you make, just free. So you could then transfer to a four-year university, UConn or elsewhere, and after this, and you've just cut your college costs in half.
Absolutely. So it's a game changer. I mean, this past academic year, 52% of our students paid zero in tuition and fees.
That is remarkable.
And just think about our size. We're the largest community college in the Northeastern United States. So you're talking about between 20 and 30,000 individuals did not pay a nickel for their
Maybe not.
When did this
But in other news, I sat down with State Senator and Senate Majority Leader Bob Duff. How's it going?
Very well. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How have you been? With,
I'm
the
hanging in there.
holidays coming up and everything?
I know. It's like we're all putting a smile on, but everybody's a little stressed right now, probably. And trying to get everything done before we get to Christmas or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa, whatever people celebrate. But it's busy out there right now.
It is.
You know, it's a lot of traffic, and hopefully everybody's just a little calmer and has a little more patience right now.
How far along are you on your holiday shopping?
I think I'm pretty well done.
Nice.
Yep. It's thank goodness for delivery trucks that come down my street all day.
Yep.
It's almost like you can count them. So many. But so that's pretty much done. My wife does a lot of the shopping, which is good. She's really good at like finding things that I try to look for creative things, but she's really good at finding creative stuff. And we kind of bought stuff together. Okay. That was like a household purchase. So we're like, all right, so that's our gift for this year. Is that. Yep. So it's good. And the kids are good. You know, they're older now, so it's always more expensive, and it's usually electronic. Yeah. Something like that, or clothes now. Exactly. So their stuff is never. Are they at the age where you could just give them a gift card and say you figure it out? Yep. Nice. You could do that.
Nice. And
how about you?
Pretty good so far. You know, I finished up everything for my son. Yeah. You know, I got him a trampoline. Yeah. Because I want to get a new couch. Okay. And he likes to jump on the furniture. So the trampoline is, and it's one of those that it's like a 2-in-1 type thing. You can fold it up. So I'm like, I'll just put that. He can jump on that, stay off the new couch. Yeah. And I got him like a motorcycle. It's from this the cartoon I was telling you about, PJ Masks. Yeah. So like it's like a remote control motorcycle toy. So. Fun. he'll have fun with
He'll
that.
enjoy that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I got him some Play-Doh and arts and crafts stuff because he's into that too. 3 years old.
The funny thing I remember when kids were that little is like sometimes like the Play-Doh and things like that. That's the stuff they'll spend hours on.
Yeah.
Because they could just use their imagination.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember one year we got something for our youngest, and there was a big box, and our oldest son just was like totally into like the boxes and making things.
Yeah.
So we just wrote, I mean, we had all this other stuff out there, right? And
Yeah.
we just wrote on a box just for giggles, see what he would do with it, from Santa, he loved that box and for like at least a week or so until it completely fell apart. But
There you go.
making a fort in there.
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
like, drawing stuff on there and everything else. So I was like, sometimes it's not always the most expensive gift in the world. It's like what could be more creative, what could use their minds going and everything else. So
The
it's
blank
fun.
canvas.
Yeah, absolutely.
But before we get into the serious stuff, what was your favorite holiday gift as a kid?
Okay, so I'm going to be dating myself right now, big time. But one was
A color TV. I'm just joking.
actually I won a black and white TV at a raffle when I was in 5th grade.
Nice.
So, yeah. Then I had one actually on layaway. I was paying like $5 every few weeks or so, whatever it was I could afford at that time as a kid. So yeah, that was black. I remember when I got a color TV. That was kind of a big deal. Yeah, sorry. I was anyway, the was an Atari was my favorite.
That's awesome.
2600, I guess.
PlayStation 1.
Yep.
I tell my son all the time, like, we're on to PlayStation 5. I was like, I had the first one.
That's right, exactly.
I got that for Christmas.
I actually, even into my 30s, maybe 40s, I was still playing Atari.
Nice.
And I had like Circus Atari, Space Invaders, Donkey Kong, Pitfall, Breakout, a few others, and I was still having a good time with it.
Yeah, it was the classic
for me,
games.
That's what made sense to me.
Yeah.
PlayStation 1 and all those, it was like, it got to be like a little out there for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was because everybody wanted an Atari.
Yeah.
And then the games came out. I remember when Pac-Man was coming out, because back in the day, we would go on Saturdays to arcades.
To the arcade,
right?
yep.
And spend our money, and then Pac-Man was like a big deal. So when Atari was getting Pac-Man, everybody was like, "Oh my God, I can't wait for that to come out!" So of course, put that on the Christmas list.
Yep.
End up getting it, and then you're playing this, and like, "Oh my God, this is so cool!" Even though it wasn't the same as the arcade.
Yeah.
But
it's like I can do this at home.
It was literally hours of of playing and everything else. So Asteroids. I'm like now, and all of a sudden thinking of all the games I had. But it was kind of it was sad when it broke finally.
Exactly. Okay. Now to the serious stuff. Year is basically over. We got about like a week left, and then it's New Year. 2 weeks. 2 weeks left in the year. When you think back on this year, what are some of the biggest wins you felt like you've accomplished as a state senator?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are a number of different things that we did. I think one of them is, we passed tax cuts for everybody, especially middle class and working class folks. That I thought was really important. So it's $600 million of tax cuts for folks. That's a big deal. We increased the earned income tax credit, which is a big deal for folks.
And what is that?
And that earned income tax credit actually is a Reagan era type program. So there's a federal tax credit and a state tax credit. And our Senate President, Senator Looney, was the champion of the state tax credit for years and years and years. And we only passed it when Governor Malloy finally came in, because Governor Rowland, Governor Rell did not support that idea. So we got a state income tax credit. And what it basically does is it rewards people who work and may not make enough money to even pay taxes, but they get that money back in the form of cash, and that cash goes right back into the economy. So it gives people a chance to maybe buy sneakers for their kids, or buy them some clothes, or maybe buy them a game or something like that. But that money generally just goes right back in the economy.
Find an Atari on Amazon.
You never know, right? They might do that.
It's got to be there.
It's got to be there, yeah. So that's that's really important. I think the money we spent in our local communities, whether it's for nonprofits, whether it's for our education, fully funding the education cost sharing was a big deal and something I supported. So that was good. Making sure that, again, people brought back money back to their districts, I thought was important. We passed in the state Senate really groundbreaking bill on artificial intelligence. Did not pass the House, but we're going to work at it again in 2025. A bill I cared about, Senate Bill 3, which had a huge amount of sections in it regarding consumer protection, whether it's on junk fees, whether it's on listening from televisions, whether it's on Chinese or Russian-made drones, whether it's on affordable internet, a lot of different things. That passed the Senate, did not pass the House, so we'll work on that again.
Yeah.
But there were, I still say that we increased sick days this year.
Oh yeah, paid sick days.
That was really important as well.
One of the best moments of this year for me was was it the groundbreaking for the new Norwalk High School? And I remember when we went to the old Norwalk High School and we did this video project that you guys should find on YouTube if it's up there. But just like the emotion, the passion when you were talking about how much the school meant to you and how much the community meant to you.
Wait until this new school opens. Mark my words. This new building, pool, and fields will be the envy of the state. And as my former band director, the late Jeff Smith, would say to us right before a competition, "Where are you from? Where are you from?" And we would say, "Norwalk." He would say, "Hold your chin up and say it with pride. We will always be proud to be from Norwalk." And today gives us one more reason why. Thank you very much.
I was thinking, because usually when you do your press conferences, you're funny, charismatic, and I was like, wow, this is the first time I've kind of seen him like lose it a little bit. So I was like, when you were writing that, did you feel like, oh man, I might cry?
No, I didn't actually. It was, I'll tell you what happened. So this is the groundbreaking of the new Norwalk High School back in, I think it was April, right?
Yeah.
It was April 1st. It was April Fool's Day.
Yep.
And so I had written a speech, which I rarely ever do. I usually speak extemporaneously, but certain things I like to have remarks for, like certain really important events. And this was really important because it's like a big deal for Norwalk. It was a big deal for me personally because I had worked so hard to get the funding and get it through the City Council and the Board of Education and everything else.
That was like years in the making.
Yeah, so I just felt like I put a lot of effort into it. And again, as I'm a proud Norwalk High School alumnus. My kids went to the school. Had family members who went to the school as well. My grandmother went to the original Norwalk High School, and my parents went to the other school on the other side of town, but we won't talk about that.
Boo.
No, I can't say that. No, I can't say that. So it was what got me was at that thing, and I just have it still on my social media, like, you want to see me choked up, or this is me getting choked up, was because the kids who spoke before me, the students, the seniors, and they were talking about, not about themselves, they were talking about how, while they're glad to see, even though they're not going to enjoy the new Norwalk High School, they're going to, they are happy that we have a new high school because it's going to impact in a positive way the next generation of kids. And that was so selfless to me, and that was just so kind, and just so touching, that's what made me get very emotional about it. It still does, because the kids have been great about it. They understand. I mean, when I was going to school there, and granted the school at the time was say 15 to 20 years old, it needed help then. And then when I walked in when my kids were there, and I was like, this building really hasn't changed much, and it's a big concrete building. You know it, you've seen it. And
wasn't it originally a prison?
It was designed to be that way. I don't know if it was for energy efficiency standards or what, but it was modeled after a prison. So there's no Wi-Fi there. The auditorium stinks because the sound is terrible. The gym is leaking. There's mold all over the place. There's PCBs all over the place. There's no ADA accessibility. I
remember that.
There's, there's school security is non-existent, really. I don't want to say too much, but it's a problem there. But so there's all these reasons.
I remember the cafeteria too.
Yeah, there's all these. Right, and the cafeteria is not modernized. The library has steps up that you can't even function. You know, and Brian McMahon actually had a big renovation back in 2002 to probably 2006 or 7. So and they even need another renovation at this point in certain areas. But Norwalk High School, it was time. 50 years, it's time.
Yeah.
And the great thing is we were able to get an 80% reimbursement for the new school, saving the city tens of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
I mean, the old reimbursement would have been 22.5%, and we went from 22.5% to 80% reimbursement.
Wow.
So the city never could have afforded to build that on its own.
Yeah.
So that's why this is important. And I was just at Norwalk High School for the Candlelight concert, the Christmas concert that they have every year. It's been going on since pre-World War II, and they've, that school, the new school, is moving along pretty well. The Candlelight is great. I wrote on social media that both my boys came with me last night. I've been dragging them to that concert since they were in elementary school.
Yeah.
Every year. And when you're an alumnus, on Wednesday night is alumni night, and when you're an alumnus, on the third verse of O Holy Night, they ask all the alumni to stand up, and they put the lights on so everybody kind of sees everybody.
Yeah.
It's just a really special moment. And so proud to have them stand next to me as alumni as well. And it was
That's
pretty
awesome.
cool.
And before I let you go, is there a quote or a saying that's important to you that you want to give to people?
A quote or a saying that's important. I would say, I always like the saying, carpe diem, seize the day. And I would tell people, there's only so much time, right? And time is your most valuable gift that you can give people, is your time, or your own time for yourself, right? Because people gladly waste your time.
Sorry.
No, it's true, all right, we know. So just seize the day, just do it. Go for it. Whatever your passion is, follow your passion. And then seize the day on those passions that you have, because that's how you get things done. That's how you make a difference and you make your mark in the world.
Senator, thank you so much for your time.
All right, thank you.
Of course.